This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm doing well. A little sore from tossing around the old baseball last night, but I love it because it's just a sign that I'm getting old.
You do that thing where I want to see how far I can throw it?
Kind of. I like to do what's called long toss, with the younger guys that I coach. And so, not my son, but the other guys.
Sure.
I just enjoy doing it because it's like, I can still do this, and then I wake up and my arm wants to fall off because that's how much it hurts.
When you're teaching older guys, coaching older guys, do you ever say...
Let's use the term coaching very loosely.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you sit down and say... Do you like movies about gladiators? Have you ever seen a grown man naked? I mean, is that the kind of stuff you do?
The part that I enjoy in all seriousness is our team is a mixture of veteran guys and really young guys, like just out of high school.
Sure.
And I do like the finer points of, hey, you got to hit your cutoff guy so he doesn't take second base.
Sure.
Like that kind of, I love that stuff. I really, really do. Because, you want me to be sappy? So much of what can develop a young man's growth is playing baseball. Teaches you how to fail.
Sure.
Teaches you to pay attention to the details and how to hustle and be a supportive teammate.
Teaches you to be married because marriage can be massively boring sometimes. And baseball can be massively boring sometimes.
Very good point.
Right? Did you think of any other analogies?
Yeah, that's a great
Sometimes
point.
you get kicked in the nuts at home. Sometimes you get hit in the nuts with the ball, baseball.
See?
Never thought of it that way, Reavers. Now I understand baseball a little bit more. Did you see that play, that infield pop fly that landed, right? It was, what do they call it when it's pop fly?
An infield fly.
Infield fly, but it's automatic out,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Whether they catch it or not.
With less than 2 outs.
With less than 2 outs. So
Yep.
what happened is bases were loaded, they missed it, landed in play, and they went and they touched home base, and the runner...
Home plate.
The home plate,
Yep.
and the runner just runs, and they were totally... had no idea why they didn't get the guy out. It's like it's a infield fly ball rule.
Right.
So the player that hit it is out.
Right.
So it's no longer, it's not a forced out at home.
Correct.
Didn't you see that video?
I don't think I did.
This is Major League Baseball. People screwed it up.
Okay.
It's like, how? Even though I can't say the words right now.
That's the stuff that causes managers to lose their jobs.
The manager went out, yelled at his guys.
Yes.
And said, learn the effing rules of baseball.
Yes.
He didn't say anything to the umpire. Didn't say anything. He just went out and yelled at his guys and left.
These guys have all the talent in the world, but sometimes it's just the very little things that causes you to win and lose
Reavers,
games.
you know what happened to me today?
Talk to me.
You need to walk me off the edge a little bit. So I was driving here, right? Right across the street from the beautiful Hubbard Broadcasting Building is a light rail train. Mm-hmm. And there's these two...
We call it the Westgate Station.
The Westgate Station. There was these two women that were like 30. And they were walking across the street from the north side of the street to the south side of the street. So it looked like they were kind of walking to the platform, but I don't think they actually were doing that. They were actually just walking to the other side of university. And they were pushing two girls pushing 3 brand new office chairs.
As
right?
in, this was thievery? Or
No.
This
like
was...
these were like, they still had the labels on them, and they were taking them to this, they maybe parked on the one side of the street, and they were walking them over because there's no parking on the south side of the street, right? And I rolled down the window and I said, "Hey, you guys look really cool pushing those chairs across the road." And then she politely said, "Thank you," right? "Thanks," right? She said that to me.
Weird guy.
And then I could feel heat on the back of my neck. I was like, "Holy crap. I am that doofus that does this." So when my daughters look at me and say, "Oh my God, Dad, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop doing that stuff." I think now at 54, I'm 54 years old, I've hit now I can acknowledge that it's happening. Like I knew that happened. The moment I did it, I thought, why did I have to tell them that they look cool? Like I thought it was going to be super funny, and I thought they were going to say something like, "Hey, yeah, we're pushing office chairs across the street."
Right.
I've just literally lost my mind. And now I look at my kids. And remember when your kid could outbat, not your kids haven't done that yet, right? They could beat you in something, getting close. But I looked and I said, maybe my kids are now cooler than me.
Yeah.
And they're right. Their dad is just a dork.
I not only do I echo that, it's why I've said to other people, I kind of want to hit pause right now at my point in life with my kids, because at some point they're not going to want to hang out with me. They're not going to think I'm the cool dad and want to talk sports, because I'm worried about that day coming, because it's right around the corner. Trust me, I know. And it's going to happen to both of them seemingly at the same time, because the little guy just does whatever his big brother does anyway, right? That's just how it works.
I remember always wanting to talk to my dad, right? Always, because, my dad worked a lot, but I talked to him. We really got along. And I loved my mom. I loved her and still do. I love my mom. But the moment I got my first chest hair, the moment, like, Lester, the chest hair grew in, my mom and my relationship changed a little bit.
Sure.
It would be like, Mom, I'm in the shower. Like, just leave me alone for 5 more minutes.
Right.
And she would come down. Are you okay in there?
Do you need another towel?
Are you okay in there? I'm like, oh my God, Mom, give me 2 more minutes, please. That was the day. So your wife is going to have that problem with your boys, right?
Yep.
She's going to not be able to bond with them quite the same way. But as a dad, you're going to be like, yep, got some armpit hair. You need a stick of deodorant, son.
Yep. So it's back to the point where the being the goofy, where you're thinking you're being the goofy. I've had to catch myself doing that very thing. Well, number one, if I'm in the city, I don't roll the windows down ever for anybody. Like
2 girls walking across the University
I
Avenue.
don't care. I don't trust. I'm that paranoid guy that lives out in the sticks, right?
Dude, you're 6'4".
I don't care.
200 and some pounds.
Well, number one,
what do you have to worry about?
Number one,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, but this was I don't know, 5. It was during COVID.
Yeah.
I had someone walk in front of my car leaving this building because I was going the other way. Now, I usually just go over to 280.
Sure.
I was going towards campus, because I was going to get gas at the station down here, and someone stopped in front of my car. I'm like, oh, this ain't happening. You know, and I just thought, all right, nope, backed up, zoomed around. I'm like, nope, I'm not playing here,
Did
bro.
he flash a gun?
No, but I just didn't want to have to even remotely think about introducing that scenario. And the other thing, and I think you remember this story about me getting into an altercation on the light rail coming back from a Vikings game. So I don't trust anybody anymore, especially when I get closer to the country's tallest buildings.
See, I will not get my ass kicked for being mean to somebody or putting someone in their place. I'll get my ass kicked when I say, hey, nice tennis shoes you got there, girls. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about, sir? I'm like, oh my God, I'm just being a 54-year-old guy who talks to kids weirdly.
Over Memorial Day weekend, we did the Twins game. We were going to go to the Timberwolves game. I think you remember that. And we ended up not being able to get tickets in Dad's price range for the Timberwolves playoff game.
Well, yeah.
And I remember we were going to go back to our hotel, because I'd got the boys and I a hotel in like the Golden Valley area right off 394. And I saw a gentleman who may or may not have had shelter.
Sure.
And he was walking across. No, I'm sorry. He was walking across the sidewalk, and I thought, I better not say anything. But then there was another guy down the block before we had taken a left, and he was there with his, I would assume, significant other. And I could tell he was hammered.
Sure.
And I rolled the window down. I said, hey, buddy, you dropped your wallet. And he kind of turned and went, what? There was no wallet. And my little guy lost it. He thought it was the funniest thing he ever.
Oh, good.
And my oldest one went, Dad, that was mean.
That was mean.
And I went, well, I was just trying to be funny.
That was mean,
And
though.
he said that. He goes, Dad, that was mean. And I said, the guy's a 0.6, William.
Not just that, he's homeless, and he's like,
no, the guy I did it to was not the homeless guy.
Okay, I'm like making fun of homeless. That's
no. This wasn't a homeless guy. This was the guy that was, I think, was going from bar to bar and most likely going to go to the Timberwolves game or whatever.
Good thing he didn't shoot you.
Well, I don't think even if he had aimed at me, he wouldn't have been able, because he was, like I said, he was like a 0.6. But my oldest goes, Dad, that was mean.
I have a question. Yep. So for you, and we're going to ask all the weekly Scramble listeners and the frat packers, because I have a question. So my daughter graduated from high school, right? And she wrote out all these thank you cards.
Okay.
And I was in the car with my brother today, and I had a stack of 50 cards that I had to mail, like throw in the mailbox, because my wife told me I had to go do that, right? And I turned to my brother and I said, hey, look through those 50 cards and see if yours is in there, and I can just give it to you this way. And he's like, well, you already put a stamp on them. And I said, yeah, I did, but you might as well grab it. And he said, not a chance. Let them work for that 60 cents. So instead of grabbing it, he was of the opinion that it made more sense.
The process had to be completed.
The process had to be complete, that he wasn't going to let the mail get off, because he's like, I said, well, Tom, but as a nation, like, we're financially responsible for the mail. right?
Yep.
And if I can do things that are a little less expensive, then the mail people save 60 cents. So ergo, maybe their budget will be down 60 cents later on, right?
That's an interesting point.
And he said, that's not how it works. No matter what, they're going to ask for more. So you make them deliver it to my house.
Okay, so wait a minute. That's a very, very interesting point. So in his mind, the process needs to be complete. But in reality, the 60 cents, or I don't even know what a stamp is, whatever it is, that's already been purchased. Thus,
it's all profit.
The transaction has already been completed. Thus, the sale can already be attributed to whatever the bottom line is for the USPS.
As an accountant, you've accounted for that sale of the 60 cent stamp, but they haven't performed the duty of delivering
so
that.
his
beef,
point of contention is the fact that the sale was completed, yet the transaction hadn't officially occurred.
Yeah, they haven't committed the act to finalize the sale.
Boy,
right?
I never thought we'd break this
and
down.
I thought I think there's two types of people, right? And I think it varies. I'm both sides. Like I want to both save money for the government. Like if I'm walking down the street and there's trash, I'm going to pick it up. Right?
Okay.
I understand we have people that pick stuff up, but I want the bill to go down just a little.
Okay.
So if I can go a little faster, if I can help pick up, and the team of the government doesn't have to pick up as much, then our prices should go down. And then there's other people who say, let them go pick it up. I'm spending a fortune for them to do it anyways.
Interesting.
Right?
Because the money's already been spent. Yeah, you're right.
So people that, let's say you're a high net worth person, right? You don't need Social Security. Right? And I've heard stories about people saying, I'm giving my Social Security back to the government. I'm not suggesting anybody do that. I'm not suggesting I would do that. But I could see if you're worth $40 million and all of a sudden you're starting to collect Social Security because you're done working, do you want that $2,000 a month or $1,800 a month?
I actually had this discussion with our gal Linda Keller in Keller Tax Service, and because not that I'm close to, but I started
a long way, 30 more years.
But that was one of the discussion points in relation to, okay, what are things I should start doing now to avoid stuff down the road? And one of the things that she brought up was Social Security, because I do know somebody who collects Social Security, is still working, but writes a check back for that Social Security every year, because it comes back to the additional amount you're going to be taxed because you're taking out Social Security and because you're also still working.
Can you
if
do
that makes any sense?
Yeah,
you can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I didn't know that. But, so, Reavers, how old are you?
I am 47.
47. And then how old is Joe? Joe Suchere?
Joe is 74, I
74. Believe. That's something. 27 more years. You got to do this show with me for 27 more years.
Deal.
Otherwise, Joe built this massive thing.
Yep.
And you disrespected it because you quit early. He's out there hustling at 74.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Mike. And people don't believe me when I say this. I am going to work until I'm dead.
Yeah.
And here's why. Because you have to do something.
Sure.
I'll bring my dad into this. My dad is a perfect example of this. Mm-hmm. He started working as a jailer at 18 years old for Rice County.
Sure.
And then put in 33 years as a deputy. God bless him. Law enforcement. Retired. Okay. He was retired for about 6 minutes and said, okay, I got to find something to do. Because he and my mom would have killed each other, right? But he did it because he was sick of just sitting around. He couldn't.
That's why your dad's nickname was Spread'em. I got it. I never got it. I'm like, Spread'em. That's such a weird thing. I didn't know it was a jailer. Like, spread those cheeks, son.
Yeah.
We got to see what's up there.
No, you know what he was?
What?
He was nuts.
He was nuts.
How about this?
Well done.
Matthew brought in these today from our buddies at We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. This is the original. By the way, one of these is for you.
Oh, fantastic.
And so this is the original Toffee Nuts Variety Pack. So pay attention right now because there's a really cool promotion that we're doing with We Are Nuts through the month of July. It's the original Toffee Peanuts, the Maple Bourbon Toffee Almonds, which I got to tell you have become my very, very favorite right now. The cinnamon.
Eat one container in a day, Reavers.
Okay.
I know we're doing a commercial for them, and I know they want people to eat them, but you got to slow it down a little bit.
I'm not joking.
Oh, no. Did you do it again?
I ate an entire jar. And I just thought, well, I'm watching the Padres play the Dodgers, right? Yeah. It's a late night baseball game. I'll also have a few before I decide to roll.
Uh-oh.
Also went, oh dear God, I just ate this entire jar.
Yeah.
But they're so good.
They are really good.
So the maple bourbon toffee almonds are becoming my favorite. The cinnamon toffee peanuts, and also one that I was kind of lukewarm about, but I really do enjoy it. The hot toffee peanuts. They're really, really good.
They're super hard to eat a whole container of.
Yes.
Like you can
Moderation.
You can't sit down and eat all. Like they're hot enough for me that I can eat like 5 or 10, and that's
Right.
one of my favorites. But I got to slow it down a little bit.
So wearenutsmn.com. That's the website. So when you go to that website, you just place your order for that variety pack like I was talking about, but you have to use the promo code GLNuthouse on checkout, and that's going to get you $10 off that famous Best of Toffee Nuts Nuthouse 4-pack. wearenutsmn.com and enter the promo code GLNuthouse at checkout, and you're going to get $10 off. And like I said, that is valid only through the month of July. So place your order right now and let them know that the Weekly Scramble podcast sent you their way. We will be ready.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
You know, it's funny about the We Are Nuts is I was watching another story that just happened today in Minnesota.
Sure.
Like, are we are nuts like the crystal meth of the nut
That
business?
addictive?
Because they're so good. Did you hear that story about?
I honestly, Mike, when I saw the headline of that story, I obviously read it knowing that it was either going to come up on our show or Garage Logic or a combination of the both. And the number, you see a number, right? And you're thinking, that can't be real. It's almost like when you watch the NBA contracts that are now being signed, you think, that's just monopoly money at some point, because it's you can't even wrap your head around that figure for some reason.
Some losers getting $42 million a year.
Or the fact that a player just signed a contract that's going to pay him $80 million per season.
Yeah, that seems like more than basketball
Anyway,
players.
I'm sorry, but I'm taking away from your story.
If I hear the story correct, today the police stopped 2 different vehicles. If I'm 2 different traffic stops, and they collected 900 pounds of methamphetamines.
Yes. Go ahead.
What I thought was fantastic about this whole thing is I have the same pickup truck that was driving down the road. I have an F-150. Those guys had F-150s. It looked like random baggies of 900 pounds worth of meth in the back of a pickup truck.
So for those of you that are unfamiliar with the story, 2 men are in custody and charged with what could be the state's largest drug bust in history after nearly 900 pounds of methamphetamines was seized in Minneapolis. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino posted on X about the result of the bust. The Ramsey County Sheriff's Office followed up with a social media post confirming that its violent crime enforcement team, along with federal partners, had been involved in a massive takedown, which it said was possibly one of the largest meth busts in Minnesota history. Arrested were Joel Casas-Santiago, 46, of Minneapolis, and Guillermo Mercado Chaparro, 44, of Chicago. Each has been charged with 1 count of first-degree drug sales, and Mercado Chaparro is charged with an additional count. The charging document states that the controlled drug buy took place in South Minneapolis over the weekend, with an undercover officer purchasing 1 pound of meth from an individual identified as Chaparro. They were in a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck.
Okay, I thought it was an F-150.
No, that's okay. But it would say that looks exactly like the same
concept,
thing.
Yeah.
But here's what's funny about this. You see this and you're thinking, I could have been driving next to this guy at 35W.
I could have gotten a fender bender. Here, okay, a handful of years ago, Reavers, I got pulled over, right? The moment the lights lit up, I thought to myself, oh crap, I had a drink 3 days ago. Like my brain was like,
sure.
Like I instantly felt guilty.
You instantly went to the guilt card.
If I had 900 pounds of crystal meth in the back of my truck, what do you think those guys were doing? How do you turn to your buddy, I can't remember their names, Oscar, and say, hey, Oscar, let's stay calm here, buddy. We'll get out of this.
Everyone be cool.
Everyone be cool, right? And the simple fact is, any 2 guys in a car, they're doing something. How many times do you drive with another guy in the car?
Unless it's to baseball, never.
Never, right?
Right.
And I drive around with my brother. We go to lunch from work or whatever,
Sure.
but very seldom do I drive with another man in a car. And I think that looks guilty, just right from the get-go, right?
So you're already established.
So I think you should be able to get pulled over just on that. Doesn't matter if your tabs are good, if your lights all work.
What are you 2 up to?
What are you guys doing? 2 guys, 4 guys in a car, 100% pull them over. When was the last time you were in a car with 4 guys and you weren't 18?
Right.
Like it just never happens.
Or at a bachelor party.
Or something like that. But
Something
these guys found, so I had to figure out how much 900 pounds worth of meth is, right? And I learned some stuff. You ready?
Sure.
First of all, let me digress for just a minute. Is that for local use?
Okay.
Are we using that much meth?
So here's what I would gather is that because they were selling, obviously that's how they got busted, is they were selling to an undercover officer.
Sure.
So here's my guess, is that these two guys are operating a business. And again, I'm not saying that in that I'm either condoning it or that I think it's fine. I'm not. I'm just saying how the structure I think works. Because, I've seen movies. I know how this stuff
you know
works.
How it works.
But I'm guessing that these two have local stops. And it's almost like they have a route, like they're a UPS driver.
But where are they coming from?
Well, they're obviously coming from Mexico.
But they're from Minnesota and from Chicago.
Right. But
So they
what?
drove down to Mexico, picked up 900 pounds,
Or they flew down to Mexico,
bought a truck.
and either bought a truck or were given a truck and said, okay, we need you to go here because we have stops here, 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 and here, and here.
So on the way, here's where your plan has a fall down,
And maybe
right?
they didn't go to Mexico. Maybe they went to, let's say, Texas because they
Okay,
would have been
went
able to cross
Texas.
the border.
But from Texas to here, the truck is filled to the rim,
Yep.
900 pounds. It's not half filled. It's filled to the rim. Ergo, my supposition is that they didn't make any stops from Texas to here. Don't they need drugs south of Minneapolis?
Well, sure. What I'm saying
Aren't there
is
other stops there?
maybe they, at some point, maybe this was their first stop and they were working with their way back south.
What? What?
Who
no,
knows?
No, you would obviously try to get the drugs out of your car as fast as possible.
See, I don't know about that.
Really?
Well, either
You would go to jail and spread them would get you right off the bat.
maybe, but I
Spread
guess
'em reverse.
they're all succinctly well-tuned machinery. That's why the cartels are one of the most powerful entities in the world.
I think they're a bunch of. I'm not going to say that.
Well,
I don't wanna
but-
get the cartels after me. I wouldn't give them any credit for being amazing businessmen. They're just cold-hearted thug killers.
I'm not saying their intentions are good. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is they know what they're doing.
Sure.
Because they've been doing it for
They
a very,
make
very
a drug
long
for
time.
a penny and sell it for $900 and then kill people.
Correct.
Congratulations. That shouldn't be that hard to make money in.
Well, I guess, okay, so we're getting kind of off the point,
I'm just
though.
getting mad.
I know
that
you are, and you should.
What, do you want to give them some
Here's why you should
prize?
be mad. Here's why you should be mad. Because these two knuckleheads are on the road with your wife and girls.
Sure.
Your girls are behind the wheel now. I mean, that's what should infuriate you.
You know, with all due respect to them, 900 pounds of meth, they're not sleepy, right? They're not going to get drowsy.
And I bet they probably don't even partake.
No way. 100% they do. 100%.
Maybe. I don't know.
You just know the old adage, don't get high on your own supply, right? That's what you were
never
going.
heard that line
you
before.
haven't heard that line?
No.
God, are you brand new? You haven't even watched a drug movie if you don't know to not get high
Oh,
on
I
your own
watched the
supply.
Clint Eastwood. What was that called? The Mule? I watched that movie.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Okay.
good.
So I looked
Anyway.
up some street value of this stuff, right?
Oh, God. So 900 pounds
So
of meth.
mid-level distribution. That's what I would say these guys might be.
Okay.
They might be wholesale, but they're mid-level. Is every pound is about $3,500. If you're wholesale, it's about $2,000, $1,400 to $2,000.
One
right?
pound is $3,500. Is that what you said?
$3,500.
$3,500. I'm sorry.
And if you go to street level purchasing, it's as high as $5,000 per pound, unless you're getting Mexican Central Reason crystal meth, which is something different that can sell up to $16,000 per pound, and that is in 2002 numbers. What's happened since 2002? Stuff's at least doubled. So that's maybe $50,000 a pound at street level.
Holy crap.
Times 900, 4.5 million if my math is somewhere right like that. 9 times 5, right? Something
Yeah.
like that. Totally. Radio math is impossible. Podcast math is impossible. But $4.5 million they had in the back of that truck. So when they got pulled over, and the cop says, "What are you two doing today?" And they said, "Nothing, sir. We're just driving." Driving where? And they couldn't come up with the next line because they couldn't say, "We're going to go ahead and sell this 900 pounds out on the street." I don't know where they're coming. It seems like a lot of crystal meth in Minnesota. Like I just don't. Maybe I just don't know how much crystal meth you need to smoke to get high.
I can help you with the numbers. Following warrant searches of the vehicle, authorities found 251 pounds of meth in a Jeep and 638 pounds in the Tacoma. So apparently there were two vehicles.
Yep.
There was also a document in the vehicle noting dates, vehicles, and dollar amounts, which is suspected to be a drug ledger. along with
Nice.
a pill bottle of Mercado Chaparro, some must have been a prescription. A statement by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office said that the retail value of the recovered methamphetamine is estimated to be about $1.7 million.
So they were valuing those guys as wholesale sellers.
Okay.
I was saying they're a little more streety, and they did sell a pound to somebody. That seems kind of street level-ish.
Neither defendant has local ties to the metro community. Both are associated with larger drug sale organizations in Mexico, the statement said. Both defendants made initial court appearances on Wednesday. Both were granted public defenders, and interpreters were requested for their hearings. Bail was set at $2 million for each, so they could have both bought their 900 pounds back with that bail money.
Let me take this to the next level.
Go ahead.
Do you guys talk about this on Garage Logic
Very
earlier?
briefly. It came up during Johnny's news. But
So you just said this story started with a St. Paul man, right? Go way up to the top. And a Chicago man and a St. Paul man.
Here we go. Arrested were Joel Casas-Santiago, 46, of Minneapolis. And
He doesn't live in Minneapolis.
Right.
But why is he of Minneapolis?
Well, maybe that's what his driver's license currently said. Who knows? I don't know.
Okay, so our DA, Moriarty.
Yep. Oh, this will be a federal charge. There's no way in hell she's going to be.
Okay, wait for it.
Okay.
Okay, so she'll be out of it. But if she has anything to do with it, will she say to these guys, wait, they're illegals. We will not let them be deported. Because I think they didn't say if they were naturalized citizens. Does it say that in there?
It does not say it on the
We
story.
might not know that. So are these two drug runners from Mexico coming up, although the story said of Minneapolis?
That's true.
Well, does he actually live in Minneapolis or is he staying in Minneapolis?
Yeah, the story is a bit conflicted because the end of the story does say that neither one has ties to the community. And they were part of a drug ring in Mexico.
Yeah, so it says, of Minneapolis, but neither one has ties.
Yeah, neither defendant has local ties to the metro community, and both are associated with larger drug sale organizations in Mexico, the statement said.
So my question will be, will they go to jail, and will they be actually deported?
Well, they are in custody right now, but you're right.
Will they go to prison here or whatever?
That's a good question. But again, if they're charged locally, I could take that into consideration. If they're charged federally, there's zero chance that they're getting out.
Okay.
So that's the sad indictment of Hennepin County right now. You have to pray for it that it's going to be a federal charge.
Okay, let me ask you
Which it should be based upon the amount of drugs that were
900
seized.
pounds.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot, right?
Yep.
If you... Tell me what you think of this. Let's pretend that they were illegally here.
All right.
Right? They crossed the border from Mexico. They're not trying to live here. They just wanted to sell their 900 pounds of meth. And they made it all the way up here. They get arrested. Let's say they go through the court system, the federal court system, and we find them guilty and we say, hey, we want to give you 35 years in jail.
Okay.
Right? For this drug offense. Do you have any problem with sending them to that jail in El Salvador?
Oh, God, no.
But
not a problem whatsoever.
Will we just keep them here and put them in an American jail?
I can't answer that. I don't know how that works. I honestly don't know how that works.
You can't send them back to a Mexican jail because potentially something could happen where they could get out, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure how federal
it's interesting.
custody works.
Why should we spend the $100,000 a year it takes to house them in a jail when we could say, hey, El Salvador, you got this great prison here that people seem to like.
How about Alcatraz? Alligator Alcatraz.
Alligator Alcatraz.
Huh?
Right? Well, I mean, this is a true story.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do we do with maybe someone who is listening to the show knows what we do with foreign nationals that get arrested, that get prison time? Why are they going to prison in the United States?
That's a good question.
Why wouldn't they go to prison wherever the hell it is because they shouldn't be here?
You can hit us up on the Frat Pack 5000 Facebook fan page, or you can email the show. Just email me, Reavers, C-Reavers at GarageLogic.com. That's Mike Fredoloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble, and we file this one under the nothing to see here, folks.
Okay.
I want to bring up this story because I don't know how many other shows are going to be able to do this one. This is not from some right-wing publication.
Okay.
This is not from any other of those oddball sites. This is from the actual United States Attorney's Office of the District of Minnesota. Dateline, yesterday. Ronnie Williams has pled guilty today, this is Wednesday, today, to an information charging him with conspiracy to engage in voter registration fraud, announced Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph H. Thompson. Today's guilty plea underscores our commitment to protecting the integrity of the electoral process, said Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson. Free and fair elections are the cornerstone of our democracy. Any attempt to undermine that process through fraud will be investigated and prosecuted. This case sends a clear message. Election fraud will not be tolerated in Minnesota. According to court documents beginning in 2021 through 2022, Ronnie Williams, 58, was involved in a conspiracy to create fictitious identities and information for use in Minnesota voter registration applications. After filling out the forms, Williams signed a statement affirming that he had read and understood the certification, which included a warning that submitting false information constitutes a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. According to court documents, Williams then submitted the fraudulent registrations to Foundation One, an organization focused on voter registration efforts in Minnesota. Foundation One forwarded the false applications to county election officials throughout the entire state. In exchange, Foundation One compensated Williams for each registration submitted, and Williams shared a portion of the payments to his co-conspirator. I got to tell you, when I saw that story, I'm not going to name any names of people that I may or may not work with, but I said something on the show, right around the old election of 2020.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going pillow guy on it or anything like that. I just remember we had brought up a story a long time ago, and it was Joe was unwilling to trust it with his own eyes because it was a recorded cell phone video. And there was a gentleman of a certain ethnicity who was hauling gigantic garbage bags of ballots from places like nursing homes, apartment complexes, whatever. These were mail-in ballots that were just collected and filled out and dumped at polling places.
Yeah, maybe not bad ballot. You don't
never
know.
know.
Right? We don't know.
Maybe he was just being a good Samaritan.
Could have just been collecting
those. But when you see stories like this, how can you not have doubt with the election process?
So if you go back to that story, this guy was filling out fraudulent election so he could get new
fictitious identities and information. So these are for people who do not exist.
Exactly. But then he gets paid by Foundation One.
Yep.
How much does Foundation One pay a person?
That's a great question. And how much assistance, if any, is Foundation One getting, and who or whom is funding Foundation One?
We don't know if it's the Republicans. We don't know if it's Democrats. We have no idea
who it is.
Probably not Republicans here, because Republicans wouldn't waste time cheating on voting here because they're still not going to win. Right?
Good point.
I mean, you'd have to cheat so badly, so hard. But my thought is, why didn't that guy just sell pounds of meth? We learned that it's worth $16,000 out on the street.
Well, look, did you hear the sentencing guidelines here?
No, what does he get?
Even if he's only gonna serve up to 5 years.
So, but how many did he do? Is this a guy who made up 15 names and got paid $84 for those names?
I guess it doesn't have the information with that.
That's reporting isn't what it used to be.
Well, but I don't know that it's even reporting, because this is from the United States Attorney's Office. This is a statement that was released, a press release.
Well, put in some of the details. They didn't say how many did. They didn't say how much you got paid for it.
Not that I'm yelling at you, but this is why we're so underserved in this community, because the Star Tribune's not going to report on this story.
Yep.
The local, television stations, they might do a story on this. I have no idea.
Sure.
But I don't know anybody that's going to speak.
Yeah.
Or that's going to come forward with information.
Well, it might have been a nothing burger story. In the sense that it might have been 5 applications because the guy wanted $50.
Then why would he waste his time?
Because it's $50. Some people want 50 and need $50.
You know, I'd like to have a bit of optimism with that, Mike. I just can't go there because I don't. The thing is, I don't trust anybody.
Sure,
I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't trust anybody, and I don't trust anything anymore.
Do you think elections are rigged?
Do I think they're rigged? No.
Sure.
But do I think that there's tinkering done with it? Absolutely, there is.
I don't think there's wholesale rigging where people are making up names and dead people voting. I mean, some of that happens, right? There's almost an inconsequential amount of that, but some of that happens. But I do think people go and pick up their grandma's ballot and then their grandma's neighbor's ballot, and that person, if they were unscrupulous, could go ahead and do whatever they wanted to do with them, right? Or when the ballots get mailed out to a place, someone goes through the mail and goes bloop 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 bloop, grabs them and goes and delivers
Well,
them.
I don't know if this is going to agree or disagree with you, but I do know someone whose grandparent was continuing to receive a ballot.
Sure.
And it was like, hey, thanks again for voting so and so.
Really?
And this friend of mine said, wait a minute, my grandma's been dead for 6 years.
Yeah.
But they're continuing to get a ballot? What the hell's going on here?
Who's doing this?
I guess that there's just too much smoke here for there not to be fire.
When that is okay, I'm with you. I think you're right. You might be changing my mind.
Okay.
I'm not consistent. I'm just honest, right? I just right when new facts come to light, I can change.
Sure.
Right? Not consistent, but just honest. When I remember the stories about people saying they would go to Bob Johnson, they'd say, "Bob, did you give $1,700 to the Democratic Party?" And he's like, "No." They're like, "Oh, well, you're on this list. In fact, it says you made 15 donations of $100 apiece."
Wasn't that the Axe Blue thing or whatever that was called?
Hundreds of them, thousands of them. And for some reason, we just let that go. Like, shouldn't that be a story that someone says, if someone made a donation on my behalf fraudulently, I'd be like, who did that? I would be unstoppable trying to figure it out, right?
It's because, and we've brought this up a number of times on the Garage Logic podcast, it's because we're just too busy. We're too busy to, and I'm using the collective we here.
The global we.
The global we is, running kids to soccer, is worrying about school, whatever. People are too busy. And also, when stories like this surface, the vast majority of the public doesn't care. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem.
Yeah, here's my link, too, is the same side that we're screaming about doing it, the equal and opposite side might be doing the same thing.
For sure.
So both sides are like, you guys do this and we do it. Maybe let's just not really push this narrative.
The biggest example is whether there was or wasn't an Epstein list. I mean,
honest to God, Reavers, I was going to link to that, and you got it.
That's the exact
100%.
Perfect example of why we're in this freaking mess that we are.
If Donald Trump would have been on the list, we would have known during President Biden, right? 100%. Yeah. Unless there was other people on the list that President Biden couldn't hide.
And Joe made a really good point about this yesterday. He thinks that the list of people that are on this, if there was, quote unquote, a list, are so far up and above the people in positions of politics that's the people we should be afraid of. Whoever those people are.
The Illuminati.
Oh, whoever those people are, that's who's on this list, and that's who's running the show.
Does his tin hat protect him from sun damage?
His tin hat is so large it protects all of us in this room. Okay, because
that is a little tin hat. I mean, we do have some high level people. I get that. One thing that I think is really a problem with the Epstein thing is when they said, we've seen thousands of videos of children in child pornography. It's like, who are those victims? Who are we going after that made that film? Like, if were these downloaded child pornography films?
Well, there was testimony from a victim who came forward, and she basically said that every room of this Epstein Island conglomerate, whatever you want to compound, had cameras everywhere. There was just in every room, in every hallway, in every whatever.
But is it a child by themselves?
No.
Who are they with?
That's again.
Is it only Epstein?
Yeah. Again, I
Well, then when stupid Pam Bondi opens her mouth and says there's thousands of videos,
right?
Then we should go and arrest those people creating and participating in child pornography. You can't say there's nothing there when you just said there's thousands of videos of child pornography. Who's doing the pornography?
Right. Yeah.
Arrest them. Put them to death.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm a big fan of, if you're doing child pornography, shit should hit the fan for you in a big way. El Salvadorian prison.
Okay.
That's where I want to finish this one. Okay. Reavers, you're the best. And since you're the best, I never want you to have to go and meet your dad Spreadums in the El Salvadorian prison.
Well, I thank you, question mark.
You're welcome. You're the best.
Please do us a favor if you haven't done so already. Find a way to rate and review the show on our podcasting platform or whatever podcasting platform you happen to be listening to it. It really helps out the show. It helps Mike and I as well, and we do sincerely appreciate each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weekly Scramble podcast. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We'll talk to you again next time, and until then, cheers.